take part in Democracy Rally, start to discuss your views with others, listen to some amazing speakers, and listen to some music. Well,
I was going to talk about, I think one of the groups has already covered, and that was the whole issue of economic democracy. When we think of democracy, you have discussed here today, is the question of economic democracy. That is, translating into the economic sphere the principles and ideas of empowering ordinary people to give them a meaningful say over the way the economy is run. Because we know that in our society, money talks, big business rules. And if we want to change society, if we want to establish social justice, we have to challenge what I see as an economic dictatorship.
Yes.
Because in the economic system, we don't have one person, one vote. We've got a handful of very rich, powerful people who have all the votes. The major shareholders, the directors, the senior management, they decide, and the people who work in enterprises or in public services have little or no say. And this isn't just about the private sector, it's also about the public sector. Because the public sector is run just as much on authoritarian command-style lines as the private sector. The people who work in the National Health Service, who make it happen, if you're working for a private company, the question of health and safety, all these issues should be issues on which the workers, the people who work in these enterprises, have a real say in. The second one is the idea that trade unions, or workers through their trade unions, should control pension funds. Pension funds account for nearly 1,000 billion pounds in assets in this country. 1,000 billion pounds worth of assets. That's a huge slice of the wealth of this country. And if it could be used and controlled by workers through their trade unions, I believe we would have more socially and environmentally responsible decision making. We would have more production for need rather than simply for private profit. And we would ensure that these decisions were made in a way that was accountable to the people who own the money that's being used. Because right now, people put into their pension fund, and pension advisors and companies and corporations, they make all the decisions without any accountability or any input from the people whose money they're using. That has got to change as well, and I believe it's likely to result in more responsible financial investments in ways that care for the environment, address people's social needs, and so on. The third idea is that in every enterprise, in the private sector anyway, in every enterprise, a portion of profits should be issued every year to worker-controlled share funds. This is an idea devised by the astonishing, brilliant economist, the Swedish economist Rudolf Meidner in the 1960s and 70s. He devised this idea of how could we structurally transform capitalism. And he argued that, that in every system there are profits made, and those profits should be shared between the investors and the workers. So he devised a scheme where every year 20%, it could be 15%, it could be 30%, it could be 5%, but he said 20% of profits should be paid into a workers' share fund in the form of new share issues. So gradually, over a period of time, the workers and enterprises would gain a controlling stake. Essentially, private enterprise will be turned into workers' cooperatives, controlled by the people who work in them. This was an idea that was tested out in Sweden for a short time, not very effectively, not fully as Rudolf Meidner had planned, but nevertheless, even the imperfect implementation meant that in 1992 or so on, by that time, 7% of all shares in Sweden were owned by workers' share funds. And it did result in the use of that financial clout to make wiser, more responsible, more socially caring decisions about the ways in which enterprises operated. So those to me are three ideas that could strengthen the decision-making, involvement and power of ordinary people, could constrain the untrammeled power of capitalism, and begin the process of structurally transforming our societies to give a measure of economic democracy. They're not perfect ideas, they're not without their flaws and failings, but in essence, they are ideas that could begin to show that a different kind of economy was possible, and that we could begin at last to marry the ideas of democracy in the political sphere, which I acknowledge is still far from perfect, but begin to marry those ideas of political democracy with ideas of economic democracy. So I wish you well in your discussions and the ongoing events you're going to engage in this afternoon, and long may the debate continue. That's what democracy is about. We share ideas, we discuss, we debate, we often disagree, but out of those disagreements and debates come new ideas, new insights, new theories, new practical actions which can help transform our society. Best wishes. Bye.
I got a song that actually talks about money and freedom and the economy. So it could be, I haven't played it for a while, so I'm just going to busk it. But, no one understands how the economy works. Yeah.
How does the song work?
I don't remember, to be honest. Oh yeah, here we go. No one understands how the economy works. It might as well be Uri Geller bending forks, and it's crashing down around us like spinning plates. There's nothing they can do with interest rates, and an exchequer who's looking nowhere near as hot as Jackie Smith's expenses pot. No matter what they say or how they've spun it, remember, no one understands the world and how to run it. No one understands what money is. It used to have gold value, but now it means squat. And when there's not enough, they'll just print more, call it quantitative easing or start a war. And the only people that it means anything to are the ones that have nothing, and that's nothing new. No matter what they say or how they spun it, remember, no one understands the world and how to run it. Drum solo! No one understands what freedom is, but we'll stuff it down the throats of Islamists, because they don't drink Coca-Cola or buy shares in Gap. So we'll bomb them till they're snared in the consumerist trap, and do it in the name of democracy. America